So we've got Nate Watson Sr., son plays for Providence College. Obviously, you don't know his name. You probably aren't following college basketball. One of the best big men playing right now in college basketball last year, second all Big East team. So I just want to thank you, Nate Sr., for coming in. As we had talked, joining a URI guy for a little conversation. Obviously not URI's year this year, but thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So just before I get into, some of the stuff I want to talk about in terms of the URI PC rivalry, obviously when I first contacted you, that was before last week. A lot has transpired. I'm a father of 3 with 1 on the way. So I can't imagine what this last week has been for you. If you can just talk a little bit about, your experience as a father, kind of seeing what Nate has done, and especially doing what he did last week.
Well, it's a real eye-opening actually experience as far as in a parent's point of view, because you're looking at your son, your child out there doing good things, and hoping that here everybody sees what you see, as far as in from playing in middle school to high school to college, watching the maturation and watching them grow, in basketball. Because he started late. Actually, he didn't start playing basketball to like mid 8th grade year, because he used to like football when he was younger, and just being when he said he was coming back this year because he wanted to win that Big East title, want to win the Big East tournament and go to the NCAA tournament, step 1 has been made. Step 1 was made a couple of nights ago. He got the Big East regular season title. And for accomplishments like that, and for what he told me, he said, Dad, I want to go back because I need to do this. The COVID year, couldn't play. He said he wanted to play in front of the Providence fans, so just to see all that come into fruition was spot on.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, I got to say, being, obviously I'm a URI fan, but I'm a college basketball fan. And, that game, obviously I wanted to go. The tickets were absolutely ridiculous. And for some reason, no one would exchange my URI tickets for PC tickets. I tried.
Why wouldn't they do that?
I don't know. We're going for the #1 draft pick next year. But I went up to Providence. I smoked a cigar over at the ale house just to watch the game, just to feel the the energy. I don't think there's been that much buzz in Providence for a long, long time. So,
oh yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
Yeah. So even leading into that, obviously as you had talked about this coming back for that 5th year, building something, winning the tournament. I mean, what was one of the big factors for you and Nate kind of choosing PC in the first place? Bring it back 5 years ago. What was the deciding factor for you in that, and what were the other schools that Nate was looking at?
The other schools he was looking at, like his last 7 was NC State, Maryland, Miami, West Virginia, Wake Forest. I think that was his last pick, and then PC. But when we got to PC, and sat down with Coach Cooley, because we already made a visit to NC State, we made a visit to Maryland already, and PC was the 3rd school we made a visit to. And once we got to PC and sat down and talked to Coach Cooley, we was like, you know what, this is what we need to be. He's a homegrown coach, born and raised in Providence. Me and him had some of the same challenges growing up. It seemed like he fathers like I father. So, I know Nate would have felt comfortable playing for Coach Cooley, because Nate is real family oriented, so being away from the family and being in Providence is not being away from his family. So, and it's a quick ride for me. If I want to drive, it's 3 hours. If I want to hop on the Peter Pan bus, it's 3 hours, drops me off right at the dunk. So Coach Cooley was a big factor in me choosing PC. Mm-hmm. And then just being in the Big East, that was big. The being in the Big East was real big.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I can as an admirer from afar, well, not too far, but, you see Coach Cooley and, it's hard not to find anything not to like about him. He was a URI assistant coach at one point too, even better. Al Skinner squad. Awesome. Well, so just to get a little bit into the, URI PC rivalry, is that something you were aware of at all, before obviously Nate was even looking at PC? Was the URI PC rivalry something you ever even knew about or seen on TV?
Never knew about it until Nate's freshman year. And that first game he played against URI, and I was like, they said the line started at 7 o'clock in the morning to get in the gym. I'm like, wow, this is big. Didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Anything about it. And until Nate played him the freshman, I was like, wow, this is huge. This is real big.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the oldest rivalries, and if you look back, I know there's some PC fans that like to say it's not a rivalry. But it certainly is. It's one of the oldest rivalries, in the nation. I remember actually that I was at that game, the Ryan Center, Nate's freshman year. He had a double, 12, 13 points. Were you able to go to that game?
No, wasn't able to go to that game. I went to the year before last, his sophomore year. Went to the sophomore year. Then I went to the one back at the Ryan Center, I think, and what's Kingston, Rhode Island, right?
Kingston, yep, Kingston.
Yeah, Kingston. Yes, I went to that when they lost. I did go to that one, and then of course they didn't play the COVID year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, I was gonna say, so I mean, looking at while Nate was there, he was there for 5 years, so he went 2-2 against URI. I think the COVID year, I don't know if they counted that as a forfeit. So I guess technically that'd be 2-3 against URI.
If they, which one forfeited though?
I don't know.
We would have. I don't know. We would have played. We would have played.
The rumor, I don't know. The rumor has it that Providence couldn't fit it into their schedule, which I don't see how that happens, but. That I was going to say, because before the success that PC had this year, would you say that URI has been the better program in the last 5 years?
5 years? I wouldn't say 5 years. I would say the last time we played in the Ryan Center, I think they had a better team. That year between the two, but obviously that year we went on a run. After that we was going on a run, and of course COVID stopped everything. But that was when we played URI that game, we were still trying to find ourselves. We just got Pip to transfer in. We was really still trying to find a team to gel. But then it started after the Butler game, and we just started rolling off the wins. I think we went 6 or 7 wins in a row. Yeah. That's
good. That year, that would have been great to see what Providence could have done, because they were the hottest team in the country.
Yes.
Here we are again, and kind of I would say the elephant in the room, not the elephant in the room, but obviously the next thing that we look at is obviously the tournament. So, PC, as great as they've been, obviously they haven't had that tournament success. They've only won 1 game since 2000. So, do you think, the team is going to start feeling that pressure, or, how do you view this tournament? Is it a second weekend or disappointment? What do you think the environment's going to be just kind of inside that locker room, moving forward into the tournament?
Well, the thing about it with this team, they're mature. Majority of starters, are seniors. We're old, 23, 22, 24. The first challenge was to win the regular season title. That's never been done. So that's out the way. We got that one out the way. I think that was more pressure to win that regular season title than I think to win the game in the tournament. I think it was more pressure because that's never been done before in PC. So now you move on to the Big East tournament. obviously we want to win the tournament as well in the Big East tournament. We have a great chance to win it, but in the Big East, anybody can beat anybody. You know, Georgetown hasn't won a game yet, but they can come in the tournament and surprise everyone and run through the tournament. You just never know. And then the NCAA tournament, you know, just say we happen to lose the first game. Will I be upset? Yes, but I'm not going to take it as a disappointing season for what they have accomplished this season. But I do see this team getting past the second round this year. I really do.
No, and I would agree, especially with, you know, I think the narrative would be a little different if they hadn't won this title. Because I mean, this obviously was huge. I mean, Providence is a founding member of the Big East. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that, you know, in terms of winning that title. So I do think, you know, it would be a little different if they hadn't won that regular season title, then entering the tournament, you know. But you know, in no way would this season, I think, you know, be a disappointment given what they did last week.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So before you go, I have one little segment I call the Keaney Fast Break. I don't know if you know, but Keaney, Coach Keaney, who's coach of University of Rhode Island, he invented the fast break. So it was actually invented in Kingston, Rhode Island. So I'm just going to ask, you know, so, let's say 20 years from now, Nate's going back to Providence, all the families in town, they're going to put him into the Hall of Fame. What restaurant are you going into Providence before that outing?
I'm going to Union Station.
Union Station. Where are you going out to celebrate after?
After Union Station?
After the ceremony. So dinner at Union before, after the ceremony, where are you going to get a drink?
After the ceremony, what we'll probably do, if that happens, we would just rent a ballroom in the hotel and just celebrate with family.
Love it. All right. Fact or fiction? Nate was thinking about transferring to URI this 5th year.
Fiction.
If Selection Sunday was today, before the Villanova game, what seed do you think they should be, and what seed do you think they would receive?
I think they should be a 2 seed, but I think they're going to receive a 4 seed.
I saw you played high school football in high school.
Yes. Yes.
Obviously, Taylor Swift has gotten a lot of attention with the song that, you know, gets sung by the student section. During your high school football games, what song would be sung in the stands?
During my high school year?
Yes.
Well, it'll probably been Little Kim.
All right.
But I can't say what it have been said in the stands.
I love it. I love it. And what is the most uneducated and least respectful fan base on Twitter that you deal with on a daily basis?
Oh, man. That's a hard one. But I will say UConn.
All right.
UConn.
Well, Nate Senior, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.